Let's welcome back to the show General Michael Flynn's attorney, Sidney Powell, for her reaction. Sidney, it's great to have you back on. What was your reaction to AG Barr here?
Oh, he's exactly right, Liz. Justice Scalia called them headline-grabbing prosecutors, and I've been talking about this phenomenon since 2013 when I wrote License to Lie, Exposing Corruption in the Department of Justice. They make it about themselves instead of about seeking justice and seeking the truth. It's absolutely appalling.
So that happened with your case, right, with General Michael Flynn. People keep saying, they stop in their thinking with saying, well, General Michael Flynn pled guilty twice. How does what AG Barr talking about fit with the case that you're working on with General Michael Flynn?
Oh, multiple ways. They coerced General Flynn into a plea of guilty by threatening to indict his son, and they put enormous pressure on him time-wise. He didn't get all the information to which he was entitled, either from his own lawyers or from much less from special counsel. They abused the system at every turn to make up a crime against him that the FBI did itself, and they had no basis to interview him whatsoever. It's one rule-breaking episode after the other from the beginning of the, quote, investigation through the district court's decision through the Court of Appeals opinion. They've all broken every rule they can to make sure Michael Flynn is prosecuted. It's terrifying because this could happen to any American.
Yeah, they talked about a perjury trap for Michael Flynn, no Miranda rights at his interview that he wasn't even told it was a criminal interview, it was a debriefing. And, you know, the FBI officials behind the scenes admitted that in government documents that there was no violation here. They didn't have a case against him. Sidney, I'd like your reaction to Senate Judiciary Chair Lindsey Graham getting pushed back now from Republicans for not being aggressive enough. James Comey has agreed to testify before Senate Judiciary on September 30th. Senate Homeland Security has 41 Obama administration officials subpoenaed for abuses of power, to talk about that and testify about that. Your take on this story?
I think the Senate Judiciary Committee should have been much more aggressive than they have been, and it should have started over a year ago. There are multiple witnesses who need to be interviewed in public under oath for their role in setting up, framing, and prosecuting General Flynn. I think special counsel Mr. Durham may also be looking at the former special counsel operation itself. We now know they destroyed the information on multiple cell phones, 27, I believe. And they also laundered and removed information from their own files. I'm sure the Flynn file material went missing through them, and also the file on Mr. Wolf, the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence staffer who leaked the BuzzFeed materials, the FISA application to BuzzFeed. You know, they were protecting Senator Warner and Senator Burr, who had some sort of involvement in that episode. They have been filtering out a lot of inculpatory information to protect their friends, and that all needs to be exposed too.
Sidney, your take, let's stay on the Mueller team accused of wiping dozens of government phones before they could be investigated for bias against Trump and other issues. George Papadopoulos, by the way, got threatened by the Mueller team and the FBI for switching cell phones and deactivating his Facebook account. He was accused of obstruction of justice. Your reaction to Peter Strzok saying he's not worried about the Durham probe, that years from now he's going to be seen as a patriot. His phone was wiped. So was Lisa Page's phone. They were wiped. There's a gap in their text messages between December 2016 and May 2017. A lot went on during that, including General Flynn's case. Your reaction to that?
I wrote an article in the Daily Caller as soon as that happened, saying that Mueller himself was obstructing justice, as was Mr. Rosenstein, who was responsible for Lisa Page's cell phone at the time. She turned it in to DOJ. And Strzok turned his into the FBI and the Mueller team. They were all responsible for deleting that information, and that is obstruction of justice far more egregious than what they have sent many people to prison for.
Why is it more egregious?
Because they knew exactly what they were doing, and they knew how wrong it was. George Papadopoulos probably wasn't thinking about it, certainly not the way they were. but they knew there was incriminatory information on the cell phones of Lisa Page and Peter Strzok, and it leads us to believe that there was significant inculpatory information on the cell phones of all those who saw fit to destroy them immediately as soon as they realized the Strzok-Page messages were being seized.
The irony here, Sidney, you know, Lisa Page and Peter Strzok also worked on the Hillary Clinton email case. That was about destruction of federal records. Your final word on that?
Yep, the same thing. One rule for them, another rule for everybody else. If it's a Democrat or a special prosecutor from the Mueller task force destroying evidence, no problem. If it's anybody else or lying to investigators, which all the special counsel team members who destroyed their phones did that as well. They claimed it was accident. One claimed it was destroyed on its own somehow. But you can't put in your password 10 different times over a period of 3 hours and accidentally delete information on a phone you've been using for a year or so. It just doesn't happen. So there was a conspiracy, false statement charges, and obstruction of justice.
Sidney Powell, thanks for joining us. Come back soon.